All right, welcome everyone. Tonight we're diving into a moment that was so quiet, it was deafening. It all happened at one of the biggest events of the year, a moment of grace that spoke absolute volumes. This was a choice made not under the harsh glare of the red carpet, but in the soft glow of the stage lights. And trust me, it has everyone talking. Okay, so let's set the scene. The puzzle begins at the 2025 Blue Dragon Film Awards. I want you to just imagine this. The cameras are lined up, flashes are ready to go off like fireworks, and reporters are just waiting. The entire world is waiting for that one single show-stopping moment when the superstar Song Hye Kyo steps onto that red carpet.
You could feel the energy in the air. It was absolutely electric. Her appearances are legendary. Whenever she arrives, the whole atmosphere just shifts. But this time, something was different. The lights stayed bright, the reporters stayed on edge, but the red carpet, it just stayed empty of its biggest star. And this wave of confusion just washed over everyone. Was she not coming? Did something happen? And then, right as people were starting to whisper, a camera catches this brief glimpse of her. But she's not making a grand entrance, no. She is already seated inside among all the other guests, and she looked as radiant as ever, in this soft white dress, her short hair framing a face that looked both incredibly youthful and at the same time deeply mature. But her expression, it was distant, almost guarded. It was such a fleeting image, but it carried this weight that nobody could quite put their finger on. Well, you know what happened next. The internet just exploded. People immediately started trying to figure it out. Why would a woman who is known for commanding every single spotlight choose to basically hide from the one place she has always owned? Was she just trying to have a quiet night? Or was this a deliberate choice, something with a deeper meaning that maybe only some would recognize? The questions just started swirling. So while this whole mystery is unfolding inside, the atmosphere back at the main entrance shifts dramatically. The spotlight that had been waiting for one star suddenly found a new focal point, and the entire energy of the event just changed in an instant. Keep that image in your mind. Inside, Song Hye Kyo is a picture of quiet stillness, of total composure, seated away from all the flashes. It really seemed like she was intentionally keeping her distance from the attention that she commands so easily. And then, at that very moment, Hyun and Son Ye Jin step onto the red carpet. They arrive hand in hand, looking completely at peace, just glowing. Their smiles are so warm, their movements are perfectly in sync, and the crowd just erupts with admiration. It really felt like the entire evening had been holding its breath, waiting for them. And that contrast, wow, it created the central tension of the entire night. On one side, you have this celebrated couple shining so brightly in the spotlight, and on the other, a superstar in quiet solitude. As viewers saw these two scenes play out, a really powerful and unspoken story began to form. So, what was the missing piece of this puzzle? Well, there was one crucial bit of context that made this entire scene just click into place for millions of people watching, turning what could have been a simple coincidence into a deeply, deeply human moment. Here's the key detail, the one that so many viewers realized almost instantly. This was the first time in years that Song Hye Kyo and Hyun had attended the same major event. The second that couple made their grand entrance, her quiet arrival suddenly made sense in a completely new way. Now look, their past relationship is long over. Both of them have clearly and beautifully moved on with their lives. But that memory, it still lives in the minds of fans all over the world. And that shared history, it just created this very delicate atmosphere around this moment where their paths would cross, even indirectly, in such a public space. And this brings up a question that so many people were asking themselves online. Put yourself in her shoes for a second. Would you choose to walk that red carpet at the same time knowing the entire world would be comparing every single glance, every breath, every gesture? Or would you choose a quieter entrance, one that lets you keep your heart steady and your composure totally intact? And this is exactly where the interpretation of the whole event shifted. Her quiet entrance started to be seen not as an act of avoidance, not as a retreat, but as a deliberate and really powerful choice. Her decision was completely reframed, and it revealed a much deeper truth once all three of them were in the same room. This shift in how people saw it was powerful.
So many viewers, and I mean, especially women who have had to navigate similar complicated social situations, they saw something incredibly familiar in her choice. So what could have been easily misinterpreted as sadness was instead seen as dignity. What might have looked like fear was reframed as composure. And what could have been labeled as simple avoidance was finally understood as a quiet, thoughtful strength. This was the look of someone who knows how to carry her own story without needing to prove a single thing to anyone. A lot of women online, especially those who have loved and lost and learned how to rebuild, they saw a feeling they recognized. It was the choice to keep your own heart steady, a decision made not for applause, but for your own inner peace. And this moment really offered a universal takeaway. Her quiet action became this incredible lesson that resonated far beyond that award ceremony. A lesson about a completely different kind of strength. Later on in the evening, as the cameras would occasionally pass by her table, viewers saw more than just elegance. They noticed this deep calmness, this real sense of acceptance in her posture. She was sharing these quiet moments with the people sitting beside her, smiling softly, listening with this incredible ease. This was a strength that didn't need to compete for attention. It was a maturity that's born from facing life with complete honesty. And that quiet grace, it held so much more weight for viewers than any dramatic entrance ever could have. And that really gets to the core message that resonated with so many people. Her power wasn't diminished by avoiding the spotlight. No, it was defined by her quiet confidence. Her presence came from a place of being steady within herself. And it just proves that you don't always need to be loud to be heard. Ultimately, her decision left the deepest, most lasting impression of the entire night. It was a beautiful reminder that growing older doesn't dim a woman's light. If anything, it teaches her how to choose peace over pressure and grace over attention. As the night ended, the thought that really stayed with everyone was simple. Sometimes, the brightest light shines from within, far, far away from the stage.